My story begins when I finally worked up the nerve to visit the shop on Blackwood Lane. Everyone in town whispered about it, saying Serafina is resourceful, a phrase that echoed in my ears as I stared at the building. The shop shared the colonial brick style of its neighbors, but it was painted a dark plum. It stood out like a bruise against the pale, neutral tones of the other buildings. Stained glass windows sparkled in the afternoon sun. The kaleidoscope of colors washed over the shop's interior as I finally stepped inside. The air inside was thick with the scent of old paper and something like cinnamon. My eyes caught a single dust particle dancing in a sunbeam. I followed it with my gaze until it landed on the polished wooden counter that sat in the center of the room. A woman was waiting for me there. She didn't look much older than my 23 years, but the town whispers said looks could be deceiving. She was the reason I was here. Serafina regarded me quietly, her blue eyes pensive as she crossed her arms. "Hello there. What brings you to the hand of fate today?" I suddenly felt like a bug under a microscope. I swallowed hard, my throat suddenly dry. Is that a pun?" I asked, the words barely coming out. She rolled her eyes, a flicker of annoyance crossing her face. "Not by my own choice. My parents' idea. Now what do you need?" she asked, her tone shifting to business. "Books, crystals, overpriced bottles of oil or incense." I cleared my throat and rushed to the counter, my old backpack feeling heavy on my shoulders. Right. Can you? I looked her over again. With her long black hair, pale skin, and black cardigan, she was the town's stereotypical witch if I'd ever seen one. She waited for me to speak, her patience like a parent encouraging a toddler. "Yes?" she prompted. "Serafina is resourceful," I finally whispered, my wide amber eyes pleading with her to understand. I was desperate. Something in her posture shifted, the tension leaving her body. She snapped her fingers. With a loud click, the front door locked itself. The sign in the window flipped over on its own to read "Closed." "That I am," she agreed, gesturing for me to follow her behind the counter. "Come on." She led me up a spiral staircase to a cozy den on the second floor. It was lined with bookshelves and lit by a small fireplace. A wave of warmth and calm washed over me, a feeling that was almost nostalgic. I sat in one of the plush armchairs in front of the fire. A teacup and saucer floated through the air towards me. The rich scent of coffee filled the room. "Cream? Sugar?" Serafina asked from a side table, stirring her own cup. "Sure," I said. A cream pitcher and sugar jar floated over, poured themselves into my cup, and floated back. A spoon inside my cup began stirring on its own as Serafina sat down across from me. "I should tell you my name," I realized. "It's Jake Hanson," she finished, taking a sip of her coffee. I blinked, running a hand through my already messy hair. "Is that part of the witchy thing? Did you read my mind?" She smirked. "Oh yes, absolutely. Had nothing to do with me keeping up with local news. Definitely not." My face fell. "Right, then you already know why I'm here." The mirth vanished from her face. She set her cup down carefully. "I won't bring them back," she said, her voice firm but gentle. "Memento mori. Remember you will die," she continued. "I don't touch that side." "It's not that," I said, taking a sip of coffee for courage. "I'm here because I want to break the curse." The comforting warmth in the room vanished, replaced by an icy grip around my ribs. I gasped and pitched forward, the cup shattering on the floor. Pins and needles crawled up my spine as I clung to the chair, my knuckles white. The sensation slowly faded, and I groaned as I pushed myself back up. Serafina took a long sip of her coffee while I recovered. "I'm open to helping you," she said calmly. "But I need proof." "Proof?" I sputtered, looking at her in disbelief. "Are my dead family, empty bank account, and burned down house not proof?" She scowled, and I immediately sat back down. "They're proof that the curse is still working, not that you deserve to have it removed." I buried my face in my hands, biting my lip to keep from screaming. Weren't the nightmares of choking smoke and familiar screams enough? Your ancestors cursed an entire bloodline over the death of one person, I snapped, glaring at her. Now my whole family is dead, and you don't think my grief is a good enough deal? She remained perfectly still, her cool gaze unwavering. I felt an urge to scream, to throw something, but I couldn't move. I was frozen, trapped inside my own body. I could only stare at her, helpless. Serafina smiled, a lovely poisonous smile that made my pulse race. You think Alice's death was the only fault? Actions have consequences, Jake Hanson. She leaned forward, but the vicious whisper I heard was inside my own head. Did you know Alice's mother hanged herself in the woods, and her father drank himself to death within a year? The visions continued, flashing before my eyes. I saw two other men stalking a house with a heavy book and knives. Screams echoed as the images vanished, leaving my chest tight. Serafina tilted her head. Lots of sacrifices had to be made. Blood, innocence, the blood of innocence. So, what do you plan to provide as proof that you deserve to be free? Her unspoken question hung in the air. I shuddered, finally able to move my neck, and looked into the fireplace. I saw them in the flames, my parents, my sisters, their faces twisted in agony. I dry heaved, lurching forward. I had nothing left to give her. Everything I owned, everyone I loved, was gone, turned to ash. I knew she wouldn't kill me. That would be too kind. A Hanson had to survive to keep the curse going. The fire proved that when it refused to burn me, I could walk out, but then what? I couldn't live like this, and I couldn't let this curse pass on to anyone else. I would offer the only thing I had left. Me, I whispered. She cringed, her teeth bared. Gross. No, thank you. I don't accept carnal payments. No, I said, scrambling for the right words. Me, as in a familiar, a servant, a slave even. At that, she perked up, a horrible smirk spreading over her face. Her eyes seemed to glow in the dim light. Familiars are a witch's business partner, she said, looking me over dismissively. You're far from that. Servant is definitely more accurate. Are you going to take the offer or not? I demanded, my heart pounding in my ears. She sighed dramatically, examining her nails. Oh, all right. If you insist on being so generous, Mr. Hanson. Just Jake, I mumbled. It felt wrong to be called that when my dad wasn't even buried. Whatever. She snapped her fingers again, and something inside me shifted. The warmth returned, hotter this time, spreading from my chest through my entire body. It was like it was searching for something. The sensation finally concentrated over my heart. A permanent, buzzing heat that settled deep in my chest. Later, she showed me to a small guest room. It was sparse, but it was better than sleeping in my broken-down car. I collapsed on the small twin bed and let out a long sigh. The deal was done. Lying there, I finally understood what the people in town meant. Serafina is resourceful. I just never expected to become one of her resources. My life was no longer my own.